Welcome to Running Up the Score. I am Alex Kennedy. This is my new show that airs twice a week, every Tuesday and Friday. We talk all things sports, NBA, NFL, fantasy sports, and today we are talking NBA 2K. My man Ronnie2K is here, the face of NBA 2K. Ronnie, how you doing?
What's up, Alex? How are you?
I'm doing great. Appreciate you joining me. There's a lot of excitement right now about NBA 2K24, so I have to ask you, what are some new features or things that you're excited about in the new game?
I mean, there's a lot. It's really packed in there. I guess it starts with crossplay, being able to play Xbox, PlayStation against each other. It's just taking competition to a whole nother level. I think we're just scratching the surface on what that means to like comp players, and it's really fun to see. Then, the Mamba moments, obviously like celebrating the legacy of Kobe and, everything that he meant to gaming, and celebrate, some of the best ones. Pro play with all the new gameplay features, and how it's so realistic. We're really taking real life gameplay footage and translating it for the game, which is super dope. And then finally, the city's taken another like huge step up the visuals with the rise and the elite to affiliations. Like the game has something for everyone, and like that's what's really made it successful. Like you can go in there and play single player, you can run a team with my NBA, and or you can go try to live the life of a basketball player with career in the city. So we really try to entertain our fans in any way that we can.
You've now worked at 2K Games for 15 years. I love those videos that show how much the graphics have changed from like the first games to now. It's pretty crazy. But since you've been behind the scenes over that time, how much has the game improved since you joined the company to now?
I mean, it's a night and day different game, right? Even the way that it's built, right? Like we used to build it for quick game and the Rockets versus Lakers. Now it's really built for my career and letting you live out the whole life of a basketball player. Graphically, obviously, like the fidelity, the aesthetics. Now we go around scanning the entire league and going in individual players and making sure that their likeness is right. Consistently getting tattoo updates and all of that, and that's really with the aim of being the best sports simulation. And with if you're going to be a simulation, you got to be authentic to what they look like. So it really is just so realistic. We put out that pro play trailer this year, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, what's gameplay? What's real life? Like it really has gotten that blurry. I mean, look, for years the game has looked different than gameplay, right? And but now it's definitely getting difficult. I only assume it's going to get even more crazy in the years to come.
15 years ago, if you had told yourself or someone had told you you'd be in this position where you're the face of NBA 2K, you're being invited to NBA players' weddings, you have millions of followers, I mean, what would you have said? When you joined 2K Games, did any of this seem possible? Or, how did this all come about, I guess? And what would you have said back then?
Definitely not. I mean, it wasn't ever really the plan either. I just was this super fan of the game, and I wanted to give the voice of the fan to the fans. So, being able to jump on forums originally, and then Twitter and the various social media, it was really just to show my love for the game and be a personality and have fun with fans, talking about real life basketball and everything that went with it. But just as the game grew culturally, as the game invested in their own superstars, it just became apparent that content was king, and we needed someone that was thinking about content and driving that. And, that allows me an avenue of my own, which is to put out content that people appreciate and is very about basketball and being a fan of 2K. And 15 years, I mean, I'm almost at 16. I'll be at 16 in March. It's pretty insane that here we are, but it really speaks to how much our game has grown and how important it is to our fans, and what it means to the community and philanthropic and all of that stuff. It's given us a lot of swim lanes to really show our love for basketball and put it out there. And obviously, my love for basketball is shown through that as well. So it's been very exciting.
Victor Wembanyama might be the most hyped up rookie in that 15-year span since you started working there. When there's a rookie that's as highly anticipated as a Wemby that everyone's talking about, how tough is it to find a rating for that player and figure out, okay, how is this guy going to compare to not only the stars in today's NBA, but also the legends, which I know adds another little, a challenge. How did you guys figure that out? And I know there's a lot of conversation about Wembanyama's rating, but kind of what went into that process?
Yeah, I mean, he is the most hyped rookie since LeBron. So yes, he is the most hyped rookie since I've been at 2K. Zion notwithstanding. There's a lot of video that we have of Wemby, and getting to watch him compete on the international level and seeing that, but ultimately it's still not on the NBA court. In summer league, we got some very small sample size, 2 games that were actually dramatically different from each other.
Yeah.
But we believe, obviously, with an 84, the highest rated rookie that we've had, and since the rating system changed, like you mentioned, it's now not just against today's players, against all time. So an 84 is a very, very bold stance, and we are firm believers, and his skill set is really transcendent, and he is a video game guy. So let's see if it translates to the court, and our belief in him plays out. We really think that he's going to be really good for a long time.
Over the years, you and I have talked a little bit about, what goes into a player's rating. And for people that may have missed our past interviews, can you kind of break down how you guys determine each player's rating? And I know I think people don't understand all the work that goes into it. Can you kind of share that process?
Yeah, it's not just a number, right? It's not just a number that's spit out. It's a formula. Mike Stauffer and his team do a tremendous job, putting together the formulas and ultimately the result. Now, some of the things the NBA player can obviously control, which are the on the court shooting percentages and if you extend your game to past 3 points and so on and so forth. Some of the stuff is a little bit more IQ based, and the intangibles that a player deals with. And so basically it's 30 some odd attributes that get thrown into a formula and spit out this number. And this number is just so contentious. It's meant so much to so many players as they come in and perform in the league, and it gets talked about in the locker room, and it's a number that means a lot to so many people. But it is more than just let's just throw darts at a wall and see what sticks for a guy. It's very well thought out. And I will say that if you look at them not by the ratings themselves, but by the order, it's really spot on. There's very little to kind of discuss. That this year, for example, Jokic is a 98. He's 2 steps above this huge layer of guys that are at 96, and then another layer of guys that are at 95. We've never had this many mid-90s guys. I just think that speaks to the level of competition in the league, that there's just so many superstars. There's the older guys KD's in year 17, which is crazy. LeBron's 21. Steph is now 13, I believe. Or is it 15? He's up there. And then you have these young guys that are year 4, year 5, year 6 that are also transcendent, right? And so you've got this collection of players. The NBA has never been in a better spot in terms of its stars, and that's why the ratings just kind of play out really well. And it's so much conversation. Yeah.
You mentioned that, players talk about this in the locker room. A couple of years ago, I did a story about this where I talked to a bunch of different NBA players, and, they said that they get texts from their buddies back home hey, how are you lower than so-and-so? Or they talk about, how they look, oh, I should be bulked up more. I always love hearing your stories about how players react to their rating. And I mentioned earlier, going to NBA players' weddings. You've told me the story about going to Wes Matthews' wedding, and you end up, on the mic.
Harrison Barnes' wedding.
Harrison Barnes. I'm sorry. Talking about Wes Matthews' rating. Can you reshare that story first of all? That's an amazing one. For people that may have missed that, I want you to share that.
Yeah, that was a few years ago. Obviously, HB came to my wedding, so that's how long.
Oh wow!
Right. So it was at Harrison Barnes' wedding, and the conversation. I was just there as a guest with the who's who of the NBA, and Wes Matthews comes up to me and he's like, "We got to talk about that rating," and I don't really know if this is the place to do it. And then Rick Carlisle, who was the coach of the Nats at the time, like was like, what is this ratings thing? And then like he got explained, and then he, during a speech, he brought me up and was like, this guy wants to talk about all your player ratings. And it was really got super contentious. I'm feeling so bad for my buddy who's getting married, and his wife, obviously, who's wonderful, Brittany. So there's been a lot of crazy stories about it. There were less this year, which was kind of funny. Obviously, last year was crazy between KD and Clay, and Asia in the middle of the night. That was pretty nuts. But again, to your point, Alex, like it is another place where these guys can compete, right? Like not only are they competing on the floor, they are competing in the locker room for clout and who is the best player at their position. So ultimately, like they all want to be the best. And they got here because they're hyper competitive, and then being compared to their peers, the best way to do that is a video game rating. So I get it from that standpoint, but the funny thing is it's not as important as an all NBA team, but like for some reason these guys like treat them on the same level. An all NBA team can get you a super max and get you paid $100 million extra. 2K's rating can't really do that, but
yeah, they need those bragging rights.
But they care just as much, which is pretty awesome.
Now, I'm curious, do you feel younger players care more because they grew up playing the game? I guess now the game's been around so long that even the veterans...
The older players have been playing it their entire lives too.
I guess pretty much everyone has now. Yeah. But do you see younger players caring more than older players? Just because I guess when you're younger too, you care more about endorsements and some of these things. I guess who's the group that you see cares most about their rating or their appearance in the game?
I mean, again, I think it's everyone now because the older guys that didn't play our game when they were kids have obviously aged out of the league, but all the older guys in the league now, like all the vets, definitely played our game and have for years, right? Like LeBron, KD, they all play and still play actually. So, I do think that they care, but I think after a few years, you get an understanding that like we don't have very many 99s. So what are you competing for? So I think there's a little bit. I think for a rookie or first couple years, you're definitely concerned about it because it's where do you stand initially? How high do you go? I mean, it's crazy now to look at it, but like Luka Doncic was a 59 in our game at one point. I know it wasn't NBA 2K, it was the college hoops, but he was a 59 at one point. Giannis was a 67 in his first year in the game. And these those are two of the favorites for MVP this year. So it really speaks to the opportunity that these players have to take their career and skyrocket that 2K rating at the same time.
Speaking of how things have changed, over the last 15 years, now we see a ton of streamers play NBA 2K, even NBA players. You got Devin Booker, Tyrese Halliburton, Paul George. These guys are streaming 2K. How has that helped 2K's popularity and sales? Not only having streamers in this huge community online, but also players streaming for their fans.
Well, I think that the story about me kind of relates actually. Like, people trust people, and that's what a streamer is really doing. They have built up an equity and a clout with their own fan base, and them playing the game is them vouching for our game. And I'm so appreciative to the people that come to our community days when we do like events for our streamers, and then continue to stream. We have a bunch of guys that are streaming 12 to 18 hours a day right now on the race to the top 10. This feature we have in the game where it's the rep race again, and these people are documenting it with streaming and talking about. But then the NBA players, like, obviously to take their very limited time and go play this game and give fans another perspective on them, it is amazing. But I also think like it's a two-way street. I think it really helps them as well. It gives them another marketing lane, like it gives them a point of accessibility. Like a lot of these guys have gone into podcasting, and a few of them are really, really good. But like the gaming like kind of lowers the barrier of entry, right? Like anybody can like go on, jump on a game, understand it, and like talk about it and watch somebody play it. So like there's that. And then another layer of that is this whole like esports revolution, right? Yeah. And we have this $1 million tournament going on right now with OneUp, one of our partners, and these NBA players are kind of the figureheads of it. So Paul George is the one this week, and he's got a tournament that's coming up this weekend, starting tomorrow, and the winner of that gets $25,000. But like ultimately, the winner of this tournament gets $1 million. And so, I mean, just another lane for like the players to have their own invitationals and invite their fans to it. Really super awesome that they get to have that as a marketing vehicle. But for us, it helps with engagement and gives our players another form of entertainment and another thing that they can be doing. And, that's just super awesome. So any way that we can give more opportunities for our fans to engage with our product, but also be entertained, that's all what we're all about. And we really appreciate the streamers and NBA players participating in that.
You mentioned esports. The NBA recently announced that the 2K League saw significant growth in viewership, engagement, had a really successful year. What are your thoughts on the 2K League and its growth?
I mean, it's done remarkably. 5 years complete, and the road that it took to get there, and now for it to, 23 teams and now teams that are outside of the NBA that are participating as well. Super, super cool. The players that engage in it work really hard, work tirelessly to make it successful. So it's been super fun to watch, and I can't wait for season 6.
Going back to some of the rating conversation, who were some of the toughest players to rate? We mentioned incoming players, young players, especially when you're trying to compare them to legends who have already retired. But are there certain positions, certain types of players? Like who are the hardest to rate?
I would say obviously the hardest ones are what you mentioned. It's the ones where we don't have a lot of data. We need sample size, especially the international ones where film is at a little bit more limited in time zones and the media isn't covering them as much. But I would say obviously big men are tougher than guards. You get the ball out of their hands a little bit more. What else can they do? I'll never forget we did that underrated thing, and where players could come on and prove to me that their badges should be better. And so Karl Anthony Towns, good buddy of mine, he came out and he's like, my outlet passing and ability to start a break is so good, and you guys have me as no badge here. So I'm like, okay, let's set up an obstacle course, and we did that, and he proved that his badge should be better, that he is a great outlet passer. And so we increase that and give them the opportunity to do that. So that's the kind of thing that speaks to these players being so engaged.
One of the things I think I didn't even realize how passionate the 2K community is until you kind of watch on Twitch and kind of dive into that world. People who just play it casually or are just casual NBA fans may not realize that. How popular some of these streamers are and how passionate the fan base is. I guess how has that kind of helped the game grow? Just how passionate this and loyal this fan base is, and I guess what's a moment where you kind of realize just how intense that fan base can be?
Well, I mean, I think I really realized it real early when
you're part of it, I guess. Yeah,
started going off. But no, I mean, ultimately, we are so grateful for our fans. They, we innovate our game. We spoke about that a lot earlier, but our team at Visual Concepts just does a remarkable job innovating year over year over year. But a lot of that is for the love and labor of our fans, and thinking about what are they expecting from us? What are they not expecting from us where we can surprise them? Where can we kind of lead that conversation? Where can they lead us to? That is that dichotomy of fan and product. I think we understand better than really any brand. I can confidently say that we innovate our game on an annual basis more than any other video game. And that comes from the feedback that our fans give us and the passion and love for it. And I mean, I see it every day. There's a few days I can go outside now without running into a 2K fan that's super loyal and super like appreciative of the brand and what has happened. So it just speaks to the power of basketball, it speaks to the power of gaming. And we're so fortunate to have great fans.
I feel like you're living the dream for a lot of these fans. They would love to work in video games, work in their favorite video game. What would be advice for someone that you have that wants to work in the video game space or have a job that's somewhat similar to yours?
Well, somewhat similar to mine is I definitely like am not something that I'm not. Like I really do act like myself online, and I know that sounds really basic and simple, but there's an authenticity thing, like especially as content creation and like being an influencer has become a coveted position. It's like these guys work hard. They're putting themselves out there. They're trusting their community. They are like really leaning into their own authentic selves and then, showcasing that. It sounds easy. It's not. And like, you got to work hard. You got to be authentic. And if you're funny, be funny. If you're not funny, don't try to be funny, right? Like be the content that you are. And so that's really the big thing. And, the technology changes, trends change, all of that. You have to re-educate. You have to like continue to learn. The learning never really stops. And like, new social medias begin like be real. I'm like learning about be real. So I think I'd have to learn, right? So like, but you have to be on top of it and put yourself. It's a career, right? Like you have to give it your all and learn. And that's the advice that I would have is continue to re-educate and continue to be yourself.
And last question for you: what do you think is the future of 2K? The future of video games in general? There's a lot of new technologies popping up and things like that. What do you think we'll see in this, franchise going forward, and then just in video games in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we are always looking for more ways to touch our fans and to engage them and give them, shares of entertainment. There's a lot of entertainment facilities, especially, coming out of the pandemic, like everybody's trying to grab mind share of their audience. And, we want to do the same. So we're trying to offer as much, entertainment value as we can. And so those are only going to continue. We're going to continue to innovate and try to lead the way as we have the last, 20, 25 years. And, I'm excited for it. It's gaming is great because like, it's still kind of a new age, entertainment device. And we're just scratching the surface of what we can do.
Is there anything else that we didn't touch on about 2K24 that you want to throw out there?
No, obviously being able to celebrate Kobe and his legacy. I'm even looking to like advance that. I don't know if Alex, did you see that mural that in LA that they're trying to pull down?
Oh yeah, that's insane.
Vanessa posted about it. So like we signed this petition, we put it out there, but I'd like to actually do more. And, like 2K has a responsibility in the basketball world to do good and give back. And, there's several projects we're working on that I'm really excited about in the real world to, continue to benefit the game of basketball because it's given us so much. And that's one of them, right? Like how can we, give back to this member of the basketball community that meant so much to so many people, and so that's definitely a focus of ours, and will continue to be for the foreseeable future.
For sure, we'll put the link to the petition in the description of this video too. So anyone wants to sign that, definitely make it easy. Last thing, just because you brought up Kobe in the cover, I'm curious. Obviously, with Kobe, it's a little bit different, but what's the typical process of deciding a cover athlete? What kind of conversations go into that, and how do you guys make that decision?
Well, it's a small certain years it's been different, right? Like we've done a variety of things, but for the most part, it's a small collection of people that think about it because it is a small collection of people that are, like candidates really, right? Like, and the cover means so much. It is like the real big endorsement that any NBA player is really looking forward to. I had this interview coming out with Trae Young in a couple weeks where we talked about that, like what a cover means is like an exclamation point in a career for an NBA player. And so,
Yeah.
But I would say like what we kind of try to think about are, do they play the game for sure? Like, can they speak confidently about 2K, not just the NBA? Do they have something that connects with our marketing campaign that year and the story that we're trying to tell with the game and, you know, with our general marketing? And then are they generally on some sort of trajectory upwards? Like, well, if you look at the covers, like we don't have a cover curse, right? Like our guys are consistently in the conversation for MVP and finals champions and all of that stuff. So that's what we're looking for is you know, playing at the highest level but trending upwards. And you know, but definitely it starts with being a fan first.
Awesome. Well, Ronnie, thanks so much for your time, man. It's always fun picking your brain. Thanks so much.
Yeah, appreciate you, Alex. Anytime.
Everyone, make sure you guys pick up NBA 2K24 if you haven't already. Make sure you guys follow Ronnie across all of his socials and stay tuned for my interview with Shawn Marion. In a moment, we will be joined by four-time NBA All-Star and NBA champion Shawn Marion. But first, I want to thank our presenting sponsor, Prize Picks. If you haven't played daily fantasy sports on Prize Picks, you are missing out. Here's how it works. You pick 2 to 6 players and pick whether they'll score more or less points than their Prize Pick projection. If you're right, you win big. You can win 25 times your money on any entry. Prize Picks offers projections on every sport: NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, PGA, college football, college basketball, soccer, WNBA, esports, NASCAR, tennis, MMA, boxing, disc golf, overseas basketball, cricket, and more. You can mix and match players from different sports, so you could have LeBron James and Patrick Mahomes in the same entry. If you download Prize Picks today and use the promo code RUNNING, RUNNING, they'll match 100% of your deposit up to $100. That's the promo code RUNNING, RUNNING, for a 100% deposit match up to $100. It takes less than 60 seconds to build a lineup. And right now I'm going to show you just how easy it is to build a lineup. Let's go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to go ahead and pick Calvin Ridley, more than 53.5 receiving yards. And then let's go Nico Collins, more than 59.5 receiving yards. Let's do a $20 entry, place entry. Just like that, I am entered and I am good to go. It's that easy to play on Prize Picks. Go ahead and give it a try. Use that code RUNNING for a 100% deposit match up to $100. Now let's get to our interview with Shawn Marion. So Shawn, you're currently in Abu Dhabi for the Mavs-Wolves preseason games, hosting a basketball clinic. You just judged a dunk contest. How's your trip going, and what's been the experience? What's the experience been like over there?
I mean, the trip is going amazing. You know, this is a new culture I've never experienced, never been here. You know, we in a different part of the world right now, and I mean, I can tell you this: this is some place I will definitely be coming back to, and this is truly awesome.
How passionate are the basketball fans over there?
You know what? They're very passionate about it because I just had a meeting, just came from an office visit, and he had, I think, 250 employees, but it was 16 different languages, and everybody spoke 16 different languages there. So I tell you how diverse it is here, and they really pride themselves in that here, and it's pretty amazing.
The NBA's made globalization a priority for some time now. From when you were playing to now, do you see a big difference in just the worldwide popularity and international support of the NBA?
Yes. I mean, I think as you look at the lay of the land right now, you know, NBA basketball is a global sport, but the way the NBA has been able to grow it is they take it to other levels because they're starting academies and having clinics all around the world, and they just that helps it grow even faster. Of course, TV and content now with social media does it as well, but the level it's growing right now too is unheard of.
So the Suns recently announced that they're going to retire your jersey. Congratulations. How did you find out that news, and what's going through your head? What's your reaction when you get that great news?
Well, you know, man, Matt, I'm gonna be very honest and candid. Matt called me as soon as he took ownership of the team, and he was like, I'm not doing something that should have been done already. I'm going to take care of you and reward you with retiring your jersey, and I'm a man of my word, and that's what I'm going to do. That's exactly what he said. He did. Yeah.
I feel like Matt, Suns fans are so excited about Matt, understandably so. He's winning over fans by spending money, making games more accessible, honoring former players like yourself, building a new state-of-the-art facility. What do you think of Matt and the fresh start that the Suns have from an ownership perspective?
Man, I love it, man. I got a chance to see a practice facility that's literally probably not too far from my place that I have in Phoenix still, that I ain't been able to see or I feel like like a weight lifted off my shoulders to a certain degree. He making the transition so easy, and just like he wants all the players who paved the way and set the foundations for the Suns organization and help build that team to what the city loves and admires. And he want everybody to be a part of it, man. And I love it. I think it's awesome, and he's doing some amazing things out there.
What are your expectations for this year's Suns team? I mean, obviously 3 star players, a really nice roster. What are your thoughts? Do you think they can win a championship this year?
Man, I think they got chances like anybody else, but they, of course, theirs is probably a little bit more, I think, real realistic than some of the other teams. But I mean, I hope they stay healthy, and when you stay healthy, I think you give yourself a chance. That's the thing. A lot of teams can deal with injuries, and they've been hit with the injury bug a little bit as well. But they got Frank Vogel, the head coach, out there now, and I think he's a defensive-minded guy, and they just made another trade. They just got some other pieces to add to it. Grayson Allen and somebody else.
You said Nurkic.
Big Nurkic.
Nurkic, yeah.
So I mean, that happened. I think that happened while I was out here or I was in Phoenix. I was at a meeting or something. I got the alert. I was like, wow. I was like, they ain't playing no games right now. So I mean, listen. At the end of the day, he's trying to give himself the best chance in the organization the best chance to win. And that's what you got to do.
You and I have talked before about your outstanding career and how you helped change the game. Overall, though, what are your thoughts on the modern NBA, today's style of play?
I mean, listen, it's running gun. It's feast of famine right now. I think, we did set the foundation for what it is. It's almost like so much positionless basketball being played that is dynamic. And you're seeing the transition of that. But when we started back in, seeing in the Phoenix days of the 7 seconds or less, what you would call era, but that's when we started, and that's what it is right now. And I don't see it going back to a two man game ever again.
One of my favorite
two big men.
Two traditional bigs. One of my favorite changes was there was like a 1-year shift where everyone went from having a defined position and like being called a tweener was so bad. And then like the next year at the combine, every single player is saying they're positionless and they don't have a specific position. Being in the league around that time when that shift happened, what was your reaction? I mean, because you're someone that could play multiple positions. You're guarding Shaq and playing the 5 at times. Did you kind of experience that from within the league as well and just see that shift yourself?
So we started, and I did see it. But the thing is, though, people can say that, but I don't mean they are. To be a two-way player in this league is very rare. But to be a positionless player is even rarer. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So if your guy can go out there, can guard 1 through 5 and do it, willingly do it, it's a big difference. A lot of guys probably could do it, but they don't do it.
Yeah.
So right now, like I said, we're playing positionless basketball because everybody's switching everything. And most guys don't really post up anymore either. It's all face up game and jumpers. So it's easy to just jump into that narrative and bandwagon. But if you look at the game as a whole, though, it's more of a guard heavy game now than it was prior to when we did go to make that transition. So it's just been a shift in the bigs now. A lot of bigs now don't post up anymore. They're face up players. So that's the evolution of the game.
A few years ago, I asked you if there was anyone in the current NBA that reminded you of yourself. And I think you said Kawhi Leonard, maybe a little bit of Paul George. Is there anyone now that you still, now there's been 3 or 4 more draft classes since then. Is there anyone now, or are those still the main guys?
They're probably still the main guys because, they're still currently really doing it very, very effective right now. I think we got some younger guys right now, but we ain't seen them blossom just yet, So we got some guys tweaking and peeking out the window just a little bit right now. We ain't seen them reach that next plateau yet. So, but no, that's pretty much consistent. Yeah.
You and I have done some NBA watch parties together on Clubhouse back in the day with the NBA. I love when you hop on Twitter Spaces too. That video of you educating fans on like your career and your resume is a classic. It was so entertaining. I have to ask, have you ever thought about doing a podcast or anything like that? Because I can listen to you talk basketball all day. It's so much fun.
Well, Al, it's funny you say that. You know, I actually had podcasts with one of my guys in Dallas first. So I was one of the first guys to ever do it.
Wow.
I just didn't do it. We just didn't do it and promote it and do all that stuff. It was something we did in the Mavs organization, like kind of early on, like way before everybody started getting to the podcast. And the good thing is, it was great. But the thing is, podcasts, unless you got a set thing, you got to create content all the time. And I was so busy focused on trying to be a father first. That was my lane. And then I dabbled and dabbled in TV a little bit, thought about doing some broadcasting work. But like I said, my priority shifted because I really became I'm a hands-on father. So and doing that stuff, I couldn't do it in Dallas because that was the situation. But I thought about reopening that tool, maybe that window, because I do have a different side of the game that I like to talk about, because I know the narratives get created easily for the media, and we consume and we digest them, and it becomes a part of our thought process of that player, of that team, or whatever it is. But when you hear it from a guy, and I was talking this with one of my friends, I was telling him like, I was like, it's easy for a player to say I could do this or do that, but what kind of player were you though? Because it's hard to tell a point guard or to tell a big how to guard big when a point guard can't guard big or big guard, right? Vice versa. So when I say it, I guarded all up. Yeah, I did it all up. And I didn't just do it for no quarter or half quarter. I did it for full games. So when I sit there and I tell people that, I was like, people be like, man, I never thought about it from that standpoint. I was like, I actually did this. What I'm saying? Like, it's easy for somebody to say I can guard somebody. Oh, I'm a two-way player. I can guard this player. I'm like, can you do it for a full game though? I'm the only person ever to do it for full games.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have so much experience. You can say you've guarded so many different guys. You've experienced pretty much everything, and you have the passion for the game. I just think that would be an awesome podcast. Last question for you. I love asking players about big what-ifs from NBA history. I had Kobe on my show years ago. I asked him about nearly getting traded to the Bulls. I asked T-Mac about almost forming a big three with Tim Duncan and Grant Hill. There was a report years ago that you almost were traded to Boston. Kevin Garnett was almost traded to Phoenix, and picks went to Minnesota. Is that true? And, can you tell that story?
It's true. And Phoenix wasn't going to do the deal. They think it was a deal because what will happen is you would change your style of play instantly because we're two different type of players. So, and they didn't want it. And then at the time, I think Boston had, because that's what I said, because KD was in Minnesota at the time, before down. So I would have went to Boston, he would have came there, but and at the time, Boston was losing too. I think they had a losing record at that time. And I was like, but I mean, we have no control over that. So The thing is, it was crazy. Some of the rumors that come out about trades are actually true. But the question is, both sides have to agree to it. So people can throw out deals all the time.
How serious were the talks?
There's plenty of hypotheticals out there. Well, so this morning, you want to hear an true story. So I was about to be a free agent. I never really fully ever became a free agent, except my last year playing. That's why I went to sign with Cleveland, my last year play. That's when I was bar none cut from everybody. Because when I signed with Dallas, it was a sign and trade. I was still in the contract basically with Toronto. It was a sign and trade deal. So I never really tested the free market agency like that. And what happened was I was about to be a free agent. I was about to be something. It was a trade. Kobe had called. And it was something dealing with, if it was true, that's around that time with the rumors with the KG stuff. And it was like, are you really going to go out in this market or it's a possibility I want you to come to LA?
Wow.
So we was texting and he was like, yo, it ain't happening because they didn't have the money to pay me. You know what I'm saying? It was very, very, but that was a story that people don't know about a lot.
I always find stuff so interesting, just thinking how that could change NBA history. Like you in a Lakers uniform or a Celtics uniform, KG in Phoenix.
It was a lot of situations out there that was, openly open a little bit. It was pretty fun though, man. I think when you look at the business of the NBA, man, in the whole, man, optimism of what could possibly be is what makes it that much dynamic, though. And even with the trade this went down with Damian Lillard, everybody, Paul Pierce actually, it's funny, he actually predicted that.
He did call that
in July. He said, "If I'm Dame, I will try to get to Milwaukee." So
I saw that. Yep.
It's funny he said that, but I mean, I can see it, but do I think they better? They lost a lot for that trade. Grayson Allen was a great player for Milwaukee.
Holiday.
That's a great pickup for Phoenix. He's a great player, dude. Like, he does a lot of small stuff. He's a very tough guy. I like him. There's something about him I like. I like the ones that Duke, that little rough, rugged side to him. But he's one of those guys that hit shots. He's gonna play defense. He compete. He actually a lot better than people give him credit for. He ain't got a chance really to showcase his skills, but he can play. And if they able to use him the right way, he can help them.
He's very underrated. I'm glad you made the point too about how, so many trade talks get put out there and, one team might just call another and that becomes a rumor. But there are times when, the talks are serious and like this, where the players are actually communicating too, like you're talking to Kobe. So yeah, I always find those situations fascinating. So I appreciate you delving into that, but thanks so much for your time, man. Enjoy the rest of your trip and have a safe flight home.
No, I appreciate it, Alex, man. Anytime, man. We do have great conversations and stuff. Well,
I always enjoy it.
I might contemplate redoing that, but if I do, I gotta have mobile equipment to be able to do it mobily. You know what I'm saying?
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, well, let's see. I don't know.
You would kill it though.
I gotta have a great co-host.
Yeah, I'd listen to a podcast between you two.
Hey, let's do it, man.
I gotta have a co-host, and I gotta, what I'm saying? Because I like people to shoot. I told this to a reporter, so I'm getting this to you. I told this to a guy who was reporting me yesterday. I said, when you're doing your interviews, do not ask the same questions and stuff that somebody else you heard ask. Do not.
So annoying.
It's okay to piggyback off of it just to get some kind of content to create something in your own lane, but look at it from the game. You sound like you're a true fan. I know you're a true fan of the game.
Yeah.
You really love it. So ask the questions you think that you would want to know if you was really, in a position. Forget about the stuff that's already been out there already.
Exactly.
Create your own, because we all got a story to tell to a certain degree.
Yep.
But, certain guys, it's the thing is for me, I hate it, and I love my former guys talking about ball and stuff, but some of them talking like they was way better than what they were. Some of these guys were below average role players. So, but they talk like they were superstars. So I'm like, how good was you? What did you do? Like, seriously, they do.
You're right.
No, he was a role player. You know what I'm saying? He was a solid role player. And I became a role player. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't.
That's that longevity, though. Yeah, you had 4 All-Star years.
The longevity to consider. You got to sacrifice to win. That's the biggest thing. I could have easily averaged such and such, but I was like, what? They don't need me to do that. I don't have to do that. If we can win and we average in 16, 17 points, I'm cool with that. We can win. I'm good with that. Let's win. I was about getting them W's. But that's something to think about, though. Don't you ask some great questions, Daniel. That's the lane to go into. Ask the things that are hypotheticals or something that, you know what? He was pretty good at this. Now, how did you pick up on that? Or it was something out there that you do differently than everybody else do? What is that? There's some different questions, not the same questions. We can repetitively ask the same questions time and time again.
I can't imagine how annoying that is.
It sucks. I'm being honest, it sucks. I hate it.
I can't imagine.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
I'm like, just ask me that question. And you know what? For me, I can say this because I ain't got nowhere to go right now immediately, but I got to change clothes.
Yeah.
One thing that everybody was constantly asking me, I think you was we did this on Clubhouse.
Yep.
Everybody seemed to want to ask me about my shot. Okay.
So dumb.
But listen, you know what's really messed up about that though? One person said it, right? One media said it, so we go rapping it, and every media person want to reciprocate their answer, right? Whether I like it or not, or whether I enjoy it or not. The funny thing is though, okay, I did so much on the floor, but you want to focus on something that nobody talks about. Nobody talk about anybody in the leadership. Nobody in the leadership the same. So why would you even remotely do that? But somebody else did it. And I found out, I'm an owner now. So I figure out the narratives and lanes that people go into. So I took it as I was pissed off, but now I respond, no problem at all. But I'm just like, okay, then nobody should say, okay, let's do this next. But it's like, why would you talk about that? You want to talk about my shot, but you want to talk about I just had 25 and 15.
And shot 39% from three one year.
You're going to discredit me on what I did on the floor just to talk about my shot. And I got it. I totally understand. There's certain lanes and narratives when they want to be pushed. I totally get it. I'm an owner now, so I see exactly what the lane you want to do as far as product placement and marketing strategies. I know how it works, but I know who controls it. So, like, being on this side of the business side of it, I know how things work, but it's all good, though. It's all love, though. Thank you, though.
Thanks again to Ronnie2K and Shawn Marion for coming to hang out with us. Running Up the Score airs every Tuesday and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, wherever you're listening right now, whether it's Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. Go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. We're going to have some big-time guests on throughout the NBA season, so hit that subscribe button. And until next Tuesday, thanks for watching.